what was after management?
Management 4.
No, after management was?
Control.
Oh, control. That was 4.
Yeah, incentives was 2 and protection was 5. Have I to do the argument for them or is it not? You don't think?
Well, maybe we can just collect the other ones first, and then maybe have your own presentation on that, and then we can discuss together.
Do we have another table that is ready to talk about their scores?
Are you ready there? Could you read out your results, your scores?
Okay, biology we have 2.
No. Sonny, can you take the mic?
Okay, biology we have 2, status 2.1, no 2.4, sorry. Then management 2.75, control 3, incentives 3.66, and protection 3.66.
And the last table?
Is biology 2, status 2.6, knowledge is 4, control 4.75, monitoring 3.5, incentives 3, protection 3.
Could you repeat the last 3?
Last 3, protection 3, incentive 3.
Okay.
So already I think we can see that there's a certain amount of variation. So in terms of biology, we've got scores of 4, then 2, 2. For status, 4, 2, 2. Management, 4, 2, 4. Control, 4, 3, 4. Incentives, 2, 4, 3. And protection, 5, 4, 3. So I think already we can see that we interpret these issues somewhat differently. And in some sense, part of the aim of this exercise is just to think about how you are going to interpret these different factors, to think about the decisions that decision makers have to take, where they get their information from, and how they take their decisions. Would any of the groups like to talk about why they provided the scores that they did?
Okay, I think we can maybe start. First of all, I mean, for me, that I've never done this exercise in my life, and she hasn't done that either. I guess we're not that government body that does this. However, first of all, it was kind of unclear how to score and where you actually, how do you rate. So it's not very, the whole format is not very easily understandable. Plus, the given scores that you give to the various areas is depending very much on your personal knowledge. So first of all, you need to have a very, very broad knowledge on species itself, like the biology as we mentioned before, and then it goes quite into a lot of details of knowledge what's actually going on in your country. So we have focused it on Indonesia only, because I think if you go to the whole Southeast Asian region, which is where the reticulated python is living, I think there's a lot of variation in assessment. Singapore, for example, would be very, very different as a highly urbanized place compared to large Indonesia, which has very different aspects. So the rating would be very, very different, obviously. So we focused on Indonesia, and I think because we have a representative from Indonesia Indonesia, who helped very well assessing the question. And still, we had problems with doing the right, or maybe choosing the right areas. Maybe you want to talk a bit about the difficulties you had for Indonesia for the various questions. Maybe that would be better.
Okay, thank you. We try to do, the thing is with us, even though that I live in Indonesia, we don't really have much biology or other data as well, because although Mark already put the data, so but we don't really have data in front of us, so it's pretty difficult. So one of the things that I would like to point out by making this example is that if we are doing an NDF on one species, it must be people who really know the species well, and included with people who's working in the management level, so they know, like for instance, if there's a management for harvester, sometimes scientists doesn't really know what the data is coming from, but the management could also say that, you know, the quota is based also because it's proposed by the national, the office from its province, and then it goes up and then checked by the scientific authority. But the one who's doing the field research must, it might be not coming from the scientific authority, because in Indonesia scientific authority is, there's an institute of research LIPI. The university is not part of the scientific authority, but we get consulted by the scientific authority. So again, if the people doing this NDF doesn't really know the whole pictures from the management side and also from the biological side, it will be quite difficult. So even though that I know a little bit of some things here, but I don't think that I have enough data to say that I can really trust our NDF result in this experiment. I think that's I can add on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any reflections? Yes.
Maybe the issue of discrepancy between the scoring is because of the technical or not well understanding the issue. But myself, I can just explain how we did understand the issue. If you go to biology, for example, we go to point 2, ecological adaptability, and we understood that from when it's extreme generalist, it's the score 1, and when it's uncertain or it's poor, it's 4. Is it like that?
5. So it's 5.
Yeah, but poor is 4. And then we found the kind of the average scoring that we say 3.5, not 4. But we know the issue, that only the way of ranking is the technical.
Yeah, the way we understood it and the way it was actually described here in the computer on the website, it seems like the first line. Let's go to the very first one, life history. What is the species life history? And we have high reproductive rate, long lived. That would score a 1. If you choose that is the case.
We did the same then.
Yeah, if uncertain, it would score 5.
Okay, then we did that way.
So that actually means, if you look at the whole format, that it's quite, I mean, it's quite complicated done. It would be much better if you had 1 score, 2 score, 3 score, and then a tick box, and then people understand better.
It cannot be true in any case, because the species is very sensitive. The density or how efficient the species for this person is poor.
But, yeah, I think
anyways,
one of the main problems there is no standard from the site. I think one of our whole debate or discussion is actually we didn't get enough data how to do the numbering system. So I'm not really sure whether it's the case when we look at the CITES. But in this exercise, we didn't got much information on you.
Yes, I think that the scoring is potentially confusing, and I think the addition of the scores onto the checklist would make it much easier. If we leave about the sort of thought processes. I mean, did you all, were you all reacting in the same way? Did you all have the same sort of level of precaution or robustness? Did you find it easy to agree on how you were going to score?
It was difficult. I don't think so much because of the questions, but because we all have different experience level. That means me speaking from an urbanized city point of view, her speaking more from a protected areas and natural environment, and her with hardly much background on Asian reticulated environments. So I think that's where we were arguing, because we all had really different background. But you pretty much were quite good in pointing it in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, at least in this table we reach consensus. I'm not really sure about the other tables because I know most of the other tables doesn't really work. Well, this table probably some of them work in Asia, but this one, yours.
The way I'm understanding is like that. They are working in government actually. That's why you are polyandry smaller.
No.
No, I'm working in the university.
No, we're not working with government.
But why you are so smaller?
Yeah, the thing is that I've already known some of the papers and it's available in my computer. Available in the particular. I can point out, well, we have the data.
But even if we don't work for government, why should it be big? If the facts could say that there is not too many problems.
Making
sorry.
a point of corruption.
The thing is, even an outside expert, not native to that source country, if he would have the knowledge, saying he would have updated his literature database, he's updated with that knowledge, he could say more probably than somebody who lives in the source region, is in the scientific authority, and didn't update the knowledge. So that's just a small point I want to make.
And I also want to point out, I don't know how they're doing, but it's also good if the NDF system would be like the red list process, where there's like two kinds of scientific authority in one species, and then there's also like one kind of review from other people based on the available data, and it could also be the reviewer could be not from that area. For instance, I'm involved with the red list amphibian authority, and so my focal point Ariadna will sometimes send me like a red list proposal from other part of the world that I don't really know of, but there's available data and everything. So the way that I do is that I check whether it's just all the necessary data is there. So I think it works well, I think. So with the NDF, I don't know how the process is.
Yeah, like very short, but with the red list, you have a different situation. You have already experts assessing the status, and the red list focal point is also an expert. So experts helping experts, that's a bit different. But in some way, maybe we can think this over.
Well, thank you. I think we're getting close to lunchtime, so I think perhaps we should wrap up. But what we hope that you will have learned from this morning, that you will have learned about the virtual college, you will have seen some of the different data sources that are available, and also you will have started to think about the difficulties that are involved in making these decisions, but also the fact that people come at these decisions from different backgrounds and with different levels of knowledge, and so that the tool that we've described to you today is just one of the many tools that you can use to start having this dialogue and to start getting people on the same page, start thinking about the sorts of information that you would want, and that was really the aims of the morning. We have got an evaluation sheet which IUCN asks that you fill out quickly, and then I will just pass over to my co-presenters to see if they want to say anything, but I would just like to thank you all very much for your participation this morning.
Well, this probably just gave you a taste of how complex the non-detriment finding is. And I think some of your comments, I don't have much experience, how can I do this variable? Well, this is very much what a scientific authority goes through almost in the course of their day. They deal with insufficient species data, or monitoring programs, lack of capacity, staff turnover, and so on. And yet, it's the very basis of the convention. And if a party is unable to do this effectively, you can have restrictions on trade. So I hope that this clarifies some of the issues and again, give you a taste of just how interesting the whole process is and the types of investments that are required to make it. Thank you.
Yes, also from my side, thank you very much for your participation, and I'm sure it was good for you to see the theoretical and maybe a little bit of practical background of this issue. You have a lot of comprehensive data available, technologies behind in assessing sustainability in certain species, but also it was important for me to show you how tricky, how difficult, how complex it is, and how good or big the chances are to actually resolve uncertainties out of certain surveys you do in the regions. Mostly these regions are tropical of origin, make it even more difficult. So it's a very complex situation to really come up with a sustainable solution in certain commercial traded species. And yeah, I'm happy that we could at least present some of this input and show you all what we work on. And yeah, thank you very much. And by the way, we have your email addresses, and so we will circulate them among each other as three. And those who want mine, I didn't have mine on the screen. I can give you mine later on. And of course, we're all happy if you approach us on any issue on making NDS. Thank you.